What's Jordan's record under the brightest lights? 6 and nothing else. And LeBron? Well, his record tells a very different story. That's it. That's the whole argument. Shaq has finally snapped. He's done watching LeBron and KD take subtle shots at the man he calls the real king. And now, he's lighting the entire NBA world on fire with a public takedown so ruthless. Players, analysts, and fans are still arguing hours later. Is this the moment the GOAT debate actually ends? Let's dive straight in. The fear factor, Shaq's line in the sand. Here's the wild thing about the never-ending greatest ever debate. It's not the stats, not the rings, not the YouTube highlight mixes everyone spams online. The real truth only comes out when a man who's bled on that court speaks up. A man who didn't just watch history. He fought it. And when that man is a 4-time champion, a Hall of Famer, a generational monster who broke backboards like they were paper, you don't argue. You listen. Shaquille O'Neal isn't some loud microphone-chasing views. This is someone who actually faced Michael Jordan 21 times, playoffs included, career-defining battles included. This is a man who dropped 25 points and 14 rebounds a night going at MJ. A man who felt the full force of the legend everyone else only talks about. So when Shaq speaks, he's not vaguely giving his opinion. He's throwing down a verdict. And according to Shaq, the Jordan-LeBron KD debate isn't a triangle. It isn't even a debate. On a 2024 episode of The Big Podcast, Shaq revealed what he calls a real separator. And it's not championships, not scoring titles, and not finals MVP trophies. It's something you can't write on a stat sheet, something you can't measure, something you either felt or you didn't. Shaq calls it fear. I've heard guys say they feared Mike. I felt it myself. I heard guys say they feared Kobe. But I've never heard one player say, I feared LeBron. Let that sit with you for a second. This is coming from a man built like a walking skyscraper, 7 feet 1 inch, 300-plus pounds, one of the scariest forces basketball has ever produced, admitting that Michael Jordan made him afraid, not nervous, not respectful, afraid. And when someone like Shaquille O'Neal uses that word, the entire conversation shifts. The date he never forgets, January 16th, 1993. And what happened next is where the real twist begins. It was still Shaq's rookie season. Chicago, the Bulls, the dynasty everyone feared. The champions who didn't just win, they crushed souls. Shaq remembered stepping on that floor thinking, this is the moment. This is the team. This is the monster everybody warned me about. And then Jordan went to work. Fadeaway, bucket, and one, bucket, turn around, bucket. Every time he touched the ball, Orlando felt it. Mike wasn't just scoring. He was shredding them apart like it was personal. But here's the crazy part. Orlando stayed close. The rookie and the legend trading blows in real time. Shaq felt it. That tiny spark in the tunnel. That dangerous moment when hope creeps in. Damn, I might actually beat Michael Jordan tonight. January 16th, 1993. A date carved into Shaq's DNA. Jordan detonated for 64 points and 5 steals. But Shaq? He dropped 29 and 24 and dragged Orlando into a 128-124 overtime win. It was the first real glimpse of Shaq's future and a clear reminder of why Michael Jordan scared grown men for a living. But the moment that truly rewired Shaq's mind didn't happen on a court. It happened decades later. 2020, the last dance. The world finally saw Jordan's brain. The fire, the demands, the dark obsession behind the championships. Shaq watched it all and came to one irreversible truth. Jordan wasn't just the greatest. He was the blueprint. On the Dan Patrick Show, Shaq said it point blank. The doc cemented forever, Jordan is a GOAT. The perfect 6-0 finals record. The leadership that scared teammates and opponents into another dimension. But Shaq didn't stop at opinions. He brought the receipts. Jordan's resume crushes LeBron and KD in categories that actually define killers. 10 scoring titles. The other two combined? 5. 9 all-defensive first teams. LeBron and KD together? 5. KD, 0. And then the stat that rattled the entire league. A 2024 poll of active players, 46% picked Jordan, 42% picked LeBron. The gap is narrowing, but for one reason: the players who felt Jordan, who lived the fear, who saw him tear hearts out. They're disappearing from the league one season at a time. Young players never saw the 63 against Boston, never saw him laughing as he hit 6 threes in a finals half, never saw the glare that froze entire arenas. Shaq saw it. Shaq remembers. And he refuses to let history get rewritten. He once said, "I studied him because I wanted what he had. I studied how refs treated him, how teammates jumped when he spoke, how opponents looked scared before tip-off. I wanted all of that. He was the best. I wanted his throne." That single quote explains everything. Jordan didn't just dominate the league. He controlled it. Shaq, a man who would win 4 rings, was studying Jordan like a scientist studying a rare phenomenon. And yes, Shaq defends Kobe too. He hates how the media skips straight from Jordan to LeBron. He calls it disrespectful. But even then, after praising Kobe, he always returns to the same mountaintop. Jordan stands alone. Everyone else? They're just competing for the right to stand behind him. Shaq turns his eyes toward the new generation, and it gets ugly. If Shaq's praise for MJ is a love letter, his criticism of Kevin Durant is a sledgehammer. And when Shaq swings a hammer, he doesn't check who's standing nearby. He just swings. KD is statistically one of the most gifted scorers the sport has ever touched. 2 rings, 2 finals MVPs, 1 regular season MVP, 4 scoring titles, career averages of 27/7/4, 7 feet tall, with the handle of a guard and the shot of a sniper. And still, according to Shaq, none of that puts Durant in the GOAT conversation. Why? Because of 8 words that shook the entire internet. KD's great, but he rode the bus. Those 8 words hit harder than any block Shaq ever had. A direct shot at KD's legacy, and the worst part? The context backs Shaq up. KD blows a 3-1 lead to the Warriors, then joins the very team that eliminated him. A 73-win squad, the winningest team in NBA history. A group that already had Curry, Clay, and Draymond, champions without him. Shaq didn't call him soft, didn't call him weak, didn't insult his talent. He said something far worse. KD wasn't driving the bus. He was just sitting on it. And once Shaq labels you a passenger, the debate changes forever. Golden State didn't just win titles in 2017 and 2018. They steamrolled the league. Yes, Durant claimed back-to-back finals MVPs. But to Shaq, those trophies shine with a glare you can't ignore. Because Shaq sees those rings for what they were. Achievements attached to a machine Kevin didn't build. He didn't construct the culture. He didn't weather the seasons of heartbreak. He didn't drag a struggling franchise into greatness. He simply stepped into a supercar already going full speed and rode it straight into the history books. Now look at the guys Shaq actually respects in this conversation. Michael Jordan. He had to survive the bad boy Pistons, the most violent defense of the era, year after year until he shattered the wall. He wasn't just the Bulls' best player. He was the Bulls, the sun everything orbited around. LeBron James. Even when critics hammered him for teaming up with Wade and Bosh, everyone knew the truth. LeBron was the engine of those Miami titles. He walked into the locker room, the unquestioned number 1. Kobe Bryant. Even beside Shaq, he was rising like a storm, slowly becoming the heartbeat of the Lakers dynasty. He didn't hitch a ride. He carved his place with obsession. And then there's Durant. In Shaq's eyes, KD was never the driver of the Warriors dynasty. Many, including Shaq, argue he wasn't even the second most impactful player. Steph's gravity and Draymond's orchestration were the foundation. KD was a luxury feature, not the architect. A brilliant weapon, but still a passenger on a bus that had already mapped its route to the finals. And in 2025, Shaq didn't soften his stance. He doubled down. He named the only 3 players he believes truly belong in the GOAT debate. Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. No KD, not even close. Because for Shaq, the conversation isn't just about stats. It's about who carried the weight, who built the kingdom, who suffered, clawed, and refused shortcuts. Once you understand that, KD's absence stops being shocking. It becomes logical. Then comes Shaq's famous moment on First Take. He looks at Max Kellerman and fires off the simplest breakdown the debate has ever heard. What's Jordan in the finals? 6 and what? Oh, and what's LeBron? That's all I gotta say. No charts, no analytics, no algorithms. Just the coldest, sharpest blade in basketball history. What did you do when the lights were brightest? Jordan. 6-0 LeBron. 4-6 Durant. 2-1, with the most infamous asterisk ever attached to a championship. Some people insist Shaq is too harsh on Durant. They argue context matters, that LeBron ran into that Warriors juggernaut multiple times, and KD joined them practically rewrote LeBron's destiny. But to Shaq, that's exactly the point. Durant knew the road he was choosing. He didn't want to climb the mountain. He just wanted to plant his flag on top. And Shaq has no respect for that path. Not in the race for immortality. Even KD seems aware of it. Many times he's avoided comparing himself directly to Jordan or LeBron, almost like he knows the conversation can't be equal when the foundation of his rings comes pre-built. Meanwhile, Shaq recently did something that shocked the internet and cut even deeper into the KD debate. He added one more name to the GOAT room, Stephen Curry. Not for the rings, but for rewriting basketball itself, for changing the geometry of the sport. The irony? Shaq elevates Curry, the man Durant joined, while refusing to elevate Durant because of how KD joined him. It's cold, it's ruthless, but it's consistent. Shaq only respects champions who paid with pain, who bled on the climb instead of taking the helicopter. By that standard, KD just doesn't qualify. And here's where the twist hits. Even LeBron agrees. Because the single strongest argument for Jordan doesn't come from Shaq, doesn't come from old heads, doesn't come from analysts. It comes from LeBron James himself, the very man fighting Jordan for the throne. LeBron James entered the NBA as an 18-year-old phenom, and from day one the world forced one impossible expectation on his shoulders: become the next Michael Jordan. But the truth is much darker, because LeBron never claimed he wanted to surpass Jordan, he worshipped him. Their first meeting happened in 2001. LeBron was 16, already the most hyped high school player in America, and when reporters asked him what it felt like, his answer stunned everyone. It was like meeting God for the first time. Those words hit like a thunderstorm of future all-time leading scorer. The man who would dominate the league for 2 decades compared Michael Jordan to a deity, not a hero, not a legend, a god. And LeBron admitted something even deeper. I did everything Mike did. I shot fadeaways before I was ready. I wore the same leg sleeve. I folded it down to show the red. I wore black and red shoes with white socks. I wore short shorts, so the undershorts would show I wanted to be Mike. This was not the mindset of a challenger. This was a devotion of a disciple, a follower studying every move of his basketball messiah. In 2009, LeBron pushed the admiration further. He told the entire NBA to retire the number 23. If you see 23, you think of Michael Jordan. No NBA player should wear 23. 3 years later, he tweeted a birthday message: "Happy birthday to the person I idolized, the person I wanted to be, Michael Jordan, hashtag the GOAT." Not one of the GOATs, not a GOAT, the GOAT singular, final, absolute. Years past accomplishments piled up, and after the historic 2016 finals comeback against the 73, when Warriors LeBron said privately that moment made him the greatest ever. But even then, even at the peak of his confidence, he refused to publicly crown himself over Jordan. In 2020, reporters tried again. LeBron shrugged. Y'all can debate, y'all can figure that out. That is not the voice of a man who believes he destroyed his idol. That is the voice of someone who still holds that idol above himself. And this is why Shaq's words cut so deep. Shaq did not just watch Jordan. He survived Jordan. He felt Jordan. He lived the fear that Jordan created. Shaq faced him 21 times. Jordan's teams won 12, but the numbers never tell the real story. Shaq admitted he was terrified, not nervous, not intimidated, terrified. He swore Jordan would never dunk on him, and when Jordan attacked baseline, Shaq hammered him to the ground, a foul so hard it shook the arena. Shaq reached out to help him up. Jordan slapped the moment away. "Do not help me, great foul. I do not need your help, and I am coming back." That one sentence revealed everything: the fear factor, the psychological warfare, the cold promise of revenge. The next season, Jordan destroyed Orlando, a 4-0 sweep, no mercy, no hesitation, no forgiveness. That is what greatness looks like. Shaq calls Jordan his big brother, his teacher, his mentor, his blueprint. And that is why Shaq defends Jordan so violently in the GOAT debate, because for him, this is not opinion, this is memory, this is trauma, this is truth. And when you combine Shaq's experience, Durant's asterisk-filled championships, LeBron's lifelong worship, and the fear Jordan planted into an entire generation, the verdict becomes unavoidable. Michael Jordan stands alone.